go. I think we're live. Woo! Let me take a minute to introduce you to Strategic Success. Strategic Success Consulting is an organization that is here to help business owners and real estate investors alike on their journey to success and to reaching their goals. We are here to help support you in a slew of different ways, but primarily we want to help educate you and give you the tools that you need in order to organize your business so that you can scale and go to the next level. We help clients become successful in their niche by sharing with them all of the experience and the knowledge that we have with no holds barred, by opening the curtains to our business and sharing it with you, sharing our network, sharing our Rolodex, the resources, the assets, and all the content that we have online to help you in your unique needs. So come with us with your challenge and we'll reach into our vault and give you the tools and resources that you need in order to get through that challenge.
Woo, that was quite the intro.
That was a surprise. Honestly, that's my first time seeing that video. So thank you to the team for throwing that together. For those of you who are on the call, we're always trying to get better and better at everything that we do and always leveling up. So it's a better experience for our clients and the client journey that you experience. So there you have it. Hope you enjoyed that little video. Yeah, that was kind of fun. Want to apologize first and foremost here for being late. Well, we're here. So we're not going to get into why we're late, but we're here and we're technically smarter now than we were half an hour ago. And we're going to get this started.
Streaming on more platforms. I'm live on Instagram. I think we're on YouTube. I think Facebook as well. At least that's the plan. So super blessed to have everybody attending here tonight. And we got a lot of great information to share with you. So should we jump right in here, Danielle, or what?
Let's do it. We don't want to keep them waiting longer than we already have.
It's all good. People can see a chat window. Maybe just throw something in there. Let us know where you're from. We typically get people from all across Canada, sometimes even in the States too.
Yeah, we got people saying hi already. Okay, so we got like JD, Sheldon, Simpson. We got Mohammed Tahir, Anna Filipova. I said that wrong. I know your last name. We got Dennis Williams. We got Dennis is in Sarnia.
Dennis, how you doing? I went to college with Dennis.
I think he was on. I think he was on our last one too.
I think you're right, and he's coming to our masterclass. So.
Yeah, we got Kitchener represented. We got Hamilton here. Vaughan. Is anybody outside of Ontario? Who's the furthest? If you think you're the furthest, let me know. Vaughan at North York, the best place to be. I love that. Marshall. Who else we got here? We got Brampton's represented. Ooh, Vancouver. We got Laura Forty in Vancouver.
Love it.
We got Oshawa. Yeah, we got lots of people. Hey guys, if you think that there's somebody that would actually, this is a free webinar. If there's anybody that would benefit from this, got lots of great content coming for you tonight. Share the link with your friends, the link that you logged in. So let's see, we got
Karina in Edmonton.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome, Karina.
Awesome, Cora. I'll throw it back to you.
No worries. Well, hey, first of all, welcome and congrats to everybody here. You can obviously see this first slide. Put something in the chat if you can't see our slides. That would be not great. But we always want to congratulate people that are taking their investing and their knowledge and education seriously, because it really is that education, when you apply it, that separates the sophisticated investor from the average investor. And people here tonight are not average. You guys are taking some time out of your schedule to learn from us, and we really appreciate it here tonight. And I hope it doesn't get too noisy. I just heard my kids coming in upstairs. So, but yeah, we're here tonight to talk about capital lending and capital raising. This is a hot topic. And we want to make sure that people actually have the right playbook here to continue to grow. Everybody here on this call tonight, on this webinar, should have goals. We got King and Culture. Hey, welcome to the call. Everybody here should be having goals to start to grow their portfolio. I'm excited about 2025. I don't know about you, Danielle, but I feel like we're not going to find real estate cheaper than this. And people can always go watch some of our past webinars on YouTube to find out more about why we're saying that. But I really do find that we've found the bottom of the market and we're ready to start the next super cycle here with real estate investing. So but just a little introduction here today, what we're going to cover. We wanted to break down private lending. It's such a big topic. It's such a big topic that deserves a lot more time than just an hour and 15 minutes today. And if we go a little bit long tonight, hopefully people will understand because we just want to give and pour. But we're just going to be scratching the surface here tonight. These are some of the elements that we're going to be covering tonight. And it's going to be like, what do you need to understand when raising private capital? It's a whole different world. Like if you're used to getting mortgages from banks and A lenders, the private lending world is like speaking a totally different language, I got to say. So based on my experience, just getting into it, it was totally new. And you need to understand the perspective from the borrower, which would probably be you here on the call. Or if you have a lot of capital that you want to go put to work, maybe it's the lender perspective as well. But we want to make sure that there's a win-win on both sides, and there's so much more to cover here. So we're just going to keep diving right in. Anything to cover here, Danielle? Anything to add?
No, I'm ready to dive deep into this, Corey.
Okay, cool. So we can't do a session on raising private money unless we talk a little bit about money mindset. Okay, this is one of our favorite topics, is actually starting off with mindset. We want to open everybody here up on the call. Throw something in the chat if you guys feel that mindset is important. You know, it's really the foundation, it's the fundamentals of everything that we do in life. And if you're not working on your mindset, you're building a weak foundation for whether it's your business, your portfolio, whatever it might be, and you can't build something on a weak foundation. So I'm a big believer that, you know, when you look at, you know, raising money, you typically don't have a money problem. You actually have a mindset challenge. And I'm not going to say a mindset problem because I prefer the word challenge. There's a reason why I put that in there. But no matter what strategy you pick, whatever market you pick, how much you have in the bank right now, you're eventually going to use it all up. Okay. It's great if you have a lot of capital in the bank right now for your next down payment, for your next property. You've been building up gunpowder and you're ready to go and fire that off on your next deal this year. But at some point, you're going to use up all your capital. And at that point, now you've got to go either find more money or joint venture partners or do a syndication or get private money, hard money. Because if the A lenders have lent to you everything that you're going to get, then you got to find different ways to do it. All right. So raising capital is definitely a skill. I want people, if you could remember one thing today, it's going to be that raising capital is definitely a skill. And the good thing about skill set is no matter where it is, you can always improve your skills. It's not like we're naturally born to raise money. I wasn't naturally born to raise money, but over time, I've learned the process, I've learned the system, I got the playbook, and now I can use it successfully, and I can keep repeating it over and over and over again as many times as I want. So, for people who don't think that there is much money in Canada, in the United States, or in North America, I did a quick search here, and you know, just in savings accounts, there's $250 billion in Canada and 950 billion in the United States. So if you look at that, who's the better saver here? Because the United States is 10 times their size, so they should have a lot more than that. But when you think of just all the currency between savings accounts and all kinds of other like stocks and different types of money here, there's 19 trillion in total currency in North America. So if you don't think that you can go find maybe 100 or 200 or $300,000 for your next property, if you're all tapped out, or for that next flip or for that next renovation, I got to tell you that you're just not looking at things properly. You're not looking at it through the right lens. You need to start looking at it from a more abundant perspective and just realizing that, man, there is so much money out there, but so many people just go about, you know, trying to find it the wrong way, right? They're too needy, they're too greedy, they're too like trying to raise it at the last minute. This is something that is, you got to be totally proactive about it. You got to start making those relationships and getting the understandings and the knowledge so that when you actually do need that money, that capital for the next deal, it's the work's already been done and you have a short list of people you can reach out to that are absolutely ready to go. So when you actually do things in the right sequence, That's one other thing, if you could take away from today, that sequence is very important. When you actually spend the right time in the right areas, you will actually be able to achieve the goals that you want. So, Danielle, I know you love talking about mindset here. Anything you'd like to add about, just to open everybody up here to learn some new topics and understandings tonight?
Yeah, I think it's really important. Like mindset, it's a little bit woo woo, and people are like, "Well, mindset, it's a trendy word right now, and people are kind of on it." But ultimately, what happens is if you don't look at capital the right way, then you're going to have that scarcity mindset. And so, what we want to do is we want to focus more on the abundant mindset where we know there's a lot of money. And that's what Corey is showing you here right now. There's a lot of money out there to be had. And a lot of people have come to us, like with our students, where they're like, oh, there's no money out there. Nobody's lending right now. Everybody's hoarding their money. Well, that's not true. That's not true. Lenders are always looking to lend their money. And that is the one thing that we're going to talk about tonight is the relationship between a lender and a borrower is symbiotic. And what that means is the lenders need borrowers as much as the borrowers need lenders. And so the borrowers aren't making money unless they're lending. Okay. And they want to have a nice, healthy return on their investment. They don't want it sitting here in a savings account or a low interest saving. We just don't want that. And so ultimately, what you need to do as a borrower, if you're borrowing, is you need to go out there and you need to find some great deals, connect with those lenders, and understand that when you're talking to them, you're approaching it in a healthy way and not a desperate way or not, in a negative way or scarcity mindset. And the lenders are going to respond better to you. And as lenders, there are good deals out there right now. You just have to go fishing and you got to talk to a lot of borrowers, be selective. We know we're being cautious right now. There's nothing wrong with that. And we just kind of want to make sure that everybody knows there's money out there, there's deals out there. Right now, we just require a little bit more patience. And when we can get into that right mindset that, hey, there is capital, there's capital available, guys. And that's really important to note. And go get it. Like the people that do the work are the people that get it. Our students, they're doing the work, they're going out there and they're finding the money and they're getting that capital. And so we want you to be that person too. Corey?
I don't know. I'm getting excited. I want to go find some money. So
Well,
let's go and
there's money. There's money. Before we get started, though, yeah, some people here might not know who we are. Corey, you want to tell them?
just a little bit about me. I always feel awkward introducing you here, but I've been a real estate investor for a couple decades, tried lots of different strategies, but really niche down. In the beginning, I was just doing multifamily, right? We're big believers of getting good at one thing before you start moving on to the next thing. But multifamily, some development, conversion, self-storage, medium-term rentals, and got really passionate though about growing networks. And when I retired from my day job, I just knew that I wanted to go build a tribe of like-minded people who want to retire from real estate, or maybe you don't want to retire. Maybe you just want to go put your money to work in real estate. That's all great too. And by putting together events and coaching programs, I founded a company called Infinite Results Coaching and Consulting. But I'm going to be, coming on board as a partner here with Strategic Success Consulting with Danielle. So, Danielle, I'll let you introduce yourself here too.
Yeah, always growing, expanding, and becoming a better version of who you are today. And that's what we love. And that's the power of coming together here, guys, with Corey and I. The background history for myself, yeah, I was a landlord for 10 years and thought I was, the cat's meow, thought I had it figured out. People in my circle were not investing, didn't own rental properties. And so I was there and yeah, thought I figured it all out. And then I decided to get education and learned that I knew nothing. And that's when I started going from an amateur, what I call an amateur investor, to a sophisticated investor. In the last 11 years of my life, I've been investing full time. And so doing a lot of learning, a lot of applying. And there's always like, I am just on a journey of continuous growth personally and professionally. I feel that until the day we die, we never get to the best version of ourselves because there's always ways to improve. And Corey feels the same way too. So we're really big on personal development because the personal development that you do and you spend time on yourself is actually going to help you in your professional life. So it's good for your personal relationships, but it's also great for your business relationships. And so invested when I started actually investing full time, I flipped for a number of years, and then I went into small multifamily acquisitions. And now I've pivoted with the economic downturn. I took pause on real estate and pivoted and really started to scale up the coaching business, which I was doing one-to-one before. And now we're doing one-to-many, as you can see. So we just really want to pour into people and make sure that we have a platform out there that people can trust to get good content, good guidance, and see results. And I just feel that the market is a little bit inundated and it's very confusing for people. And that's why Corey and I are coming together. We've got a great online platform. We've got a lot of great content, and we can cater to the newbie investor all the way to an experienced investor on their journey and help break through those glass ceilings. Guys, we all hit ceilings. We all plateau. We hit ceilings. They're not hard ceilings. They're glass ceilings. We call them glass ceilings because we know we can break through them with you. So that's a little bit about strategic success, how it came from, a little bit of history on me. And I'll throw it back to you here, Corey.
All right. Well, we've got some housekeeping slides here too. We'll keep them quick, but people, we're big on getting a return on investment, right? And return on investment, return on time. And these are just a couple points here. So be present, be engaged. Hopefully people aren't driving and multitasking right now, but close your other websites and distractions. If you need to go lock yourself in a room, it's definitely going to be worth it tonight because the information you're going to get is going to be life-changing. And really, it's going to open up a tangent. We're just going to get the beginning of the tangent opening up tonight. So have questions, though. That's a favorite part of these webinars is our Q&A time at the end. And at the, can't learn if you're not having fun. So studies have actually showed that you will learn more and retain more if you're actually in a higher energy state. So if you're frustrated from a hard day of work, just put that up on the shelf and let's learn about raising some money. So
or lending.
That's right. If we didn't have some disclaimers in here, we wouldn't be running a great business. So make sure that everybody here is always seeking legal and professional advice. All right. We are not licensed professionals in every single category when it comes to real estate investing. We're just coaches that have a lot of experience here, and we're here to share it with a bunch of excited viewers tonight. But your situation is unique. So make sure that you're getting that, feedback from your professional team. And for people that are showing up here tonight, this is a recording disclaimer. I don't think it's going to be anybody else on camera except for me and Danielle. But by being here virtually in this meeting, you understand that it is being recorded and that any comments or different things that are coming up on the screen will be recorded and can be made accessible to the public. So if you don't wish to be recorded, do not, type anything in the chat or say anything or make yourself known. But otherwise, we're all here to participate and make this a snapshot in time. So on to this meat and potatoes here. So the critical components that we're going to be covering today, there's definitely going to be key topics. We're trying to boil this down since it's such a deep, skill set and topic to cover. Like what can we do in an hour webinar to show people like these are the most important key components? Okay, so we need to make sure that we're understanding the roles of private lending and how it plays out in real estate and how this differs from traditional lending. There's also the lender's perspective, evaluating deals and managing risk. So, Danielle, how deep do you want to go on these here? Because I know we're actually going to pick a couple of these topics and go deeper on them.
Yeah, so I don't know. I feel like I need to share with everyone how difficult it was to really build out this webinar, because private lending is critical when it comes to our business. If you want to be scaling your portfolio, growing your portfolio, and maybe scaling into becoming a real estate investor. And the reason for that is because it unlocks opportunities and you're able to escalate and accelerate the growth that you're doing. So whether you're flipping, whether you're burring, whether you're, buying new projects and doing redevelopment projects or development projects, having access to capital is going to unlock more opportunities. But the problem that Corey and I had is we were starting to jot down because we have this masterclass that's coming up and we have all of these topics that we're talking about in the masterclass, but we're like, yeah, how are we supposed to do that in an hour? Like, it's impossible. And so what we did is we broke down some of the key components here to share with you what's important and what are things that you need to know and understand. And then we picked two in order to share with you and dive a little bit deeper. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to give you here, like, understanding the role of private lending, how it plays in real estate. Like, that is really important. And we can go deep in that. Even just like, we can talk easily 45 minutes just on that. But what we're doing here in this first couple of slides, just kind of giving you an overview of all of the different things that you need to know, because we can't give it all to you today, but at least make a note of them and go looking for that information. But that, I mean, just the reason why we have the masterclass that's coming up, which is 2 full days. It's a weekend event, and it's going to be all content. We just don't sell from stage when we're doing our events. It's all content. We do lead with value, and it's going to be amazing. So we're diving deeper in all these topics and more. Like, we couldn't even write everything that we're going to be covering on these couple of slides here. But what we will dive in, though, which I'm very excited, is the lender's perspective on the deal when you're doing a private deal. And we're also going to dive in deep on the borrower's perspective, because it's really important for you to understand, if you're borrowing, what the lenders are looking for, what they're requiring, and what makes a deal. Because a lot of times people come to me and say, hey, I keep going to these lenders and everybody's saying no to me. There's 2 reasons for that. One is because you didn't present them what they're looking for and give them a sense of security in putting their money with you. Or 2, it was a bad deal. And you should really ask them and find out which one was it, and then continue to grow. But what we do with our students and with the masterclass is we're going to be sharing with you how to present to a lender, what the lenders are looking for. We're going to give you a high level overview of what are important things to lenders, so that you can understand. So at least you have a starting point. But we're also going to talk about tonight on the borrower's perspective and what the borrowers are looking for and what's important to them. And because if you're a lender and you have some cash to lend, then you need to know kind of the struggles and what borrowers are dealing with as well. So it's really important to know both sides of the deal. Again, it's a symbiotic relationship, and we need to find ways to understand each other and meet in the middle, instead of, like, lenders feeling like they got the upper hand and all the control, and borrowers feeling like, oh my God, I got a bag and I got to, and not really understanding the perspective of the lender. So Corey here has a bunch of points on, what is important to the borrower, because obviously the borrower is going to be structuring the deal. And if you don't structure it properly tailored to the lender's needs, then it's just not going to present well. And it's going to look amateurish, and it's going to look like you don't know what you're doing. And they're not going to be comfortable lending their money to you. And so those are things that we're going to cover. Other considerations that we don't have time to cover tonight, but things that you need to consider when you're lending or borrowing, is mitigating risk and ways to do that. The legal obligations and compliance when it comes to lending, that's a big one that's really hit our industry here in 2022, 23, and 24. Managing any defaults. Defaults do happen. We've also seen it in the last 2-3 years. And any tax implications on how you structure specific deals. So these are things that are really complex, guys. Like, I wish I could give it all to you tonight, but we just can't. Corey?
Yeah, we're bringing in experts actually in a lot of these different categories to do like full presentations just on tax implications, just on legal obligations and contracts and clauses and different things of that nature. But I know one of the first points was just like, where does private money kind of, like, where does it fall in the spectrum, right? And if people don't realize that, lenders don't always want to lend on every single different property out there. Like, I remember when I was first starting off in my journey that I was surprised. I'm like, well, it's a perfectly fine house, but yeah, there's no kitchen here. Like, the kitchen was torn out. Like, you won't lend me like a loan on this property? And they're like, no. So I had to go get, they considered it not being habitable, right? So every type of money has a time and a place. And, when you're flipping, or when you're lifting a property, or when you're bridging, between where the property is now and where it's going to be, or if you have multiple different properties, or if you're doing development, or if you're buying land, you're going to need different types of money for all different types of things. So, yeah, but let's start off by going deep on the borrower's perspective. Okay, so throw something in the chat if you guys would like to borrow some money, because at the end of this webinar, I've actually got a challenge for you. And, the challenge is pretty simple. It's like, let's all leave this webinar with a goal of how much we're going to, if you're looking to borrow and you need funds for your investments, let's all leave with a goal of what you're going to raise here in 2025 so you can get into your next deal. But why do borrowers, why do we seek private capital? Like, we're looking for speed, we're looking for flexibility, we're looking for access. So I don't know how long it's been taking people to get mortgages these days, but when you have private money lined up, it's literally as fast sometimes as the person can go get a bank draft or transfer the funds from your account to their account, or their account to your lawyer's account. So it can be very, very fast. Okay, and that's been great. I've funded deals very quickly with private funds. I've also lent private funds very quickly, to the point where if you're actually using the same bank, like if it's RBC to RBC, it's literally pretty much instant. So it allows you to have that flexibility where the bank's not breathing down your neck, going like, yeah, what's going on with that renovation? Where's it at? Like, with the purchase and improvements loan, like they're going to want to see all your quotes, and that those quotes have been paid for, and they want to bring in people to make sure all the work was done. And it's just like a lot of, I don't know, kind of like getting undressed for the banks, right? So they want to see and know everything, and just access to different types of deals, right? Different types of money, like we're talking about, is for different types of deals. So those are the main reasons why borrowers would seek private capital. And also
Yeah.
from the borrowers, Danielle.
Sorry, Corey, if you would just want to go back to the slide. Like, I just want to say, like, who has gotten a mortgage recently from an A lender? How many documents, like, who's out there who's done it recently? Did you count, or do you know how many documents that you um, had to submit? Like, if you have an idea, even of range, because I remember the last mortgage that I did, which was a while ago, it was 57 documents. And so, and I put everything up into my Dropbox, and it was crazy. If you have a number, put it in the chat. Like, it is actually very time consuming. And that's the flexibility where we're missing that, like in the A lending space, right? They ask a lot of questions, they dig deep on things. It is really, really frustrating. And quite honestly, it might not be the highest and best use of your time if you're a really active investor, that you're looking for deals, you're putting deals together, you're managing renovations, you're placing tenants, like you're really doing a lot of things. And so having that flexibility where they're not going to ask for so much and they're really underwriting. So private lending just kind of underwrites. If it's asset-based lending, they're going to underwrite the property because the security is in the property. So they just want to get some information on the property, some on you as well, but not as much because they're really leaning into the security of the property. And so that gives you the speed to be able to, get it closed fast, get the capital fast. Because how long has it taken that mortgage, guys? Like, looking 27, 20 to 30. Guys, I'm going to tell you right now, that number of documents that you're submitting, once you have more rental properties and more properties, now it's going to be that many more mortgage statements, that many more lease agreements, that many, like, it just that many more property tax bills that you have to submit, and assessments that you have to submit, maybe appraisals that you have to get in order to get, because like the banks are just going crazy. It's really insane. And which is fine, like they're protecting their investment, and I get that. But if you're just turning over properties, you want to do it really fast. And we know when you're buying, speed will give you the advantage over buying traditionally, because if you can close on a property in 2 or 3 weeks, a lot of people, especially right now, they're in pain and they just want out. They're going to drop the price just so that they can wash their hands and say, yep, let you can have it. I'll cut 20K just so that you can take this off my hands and make this pain go away. And so that speed of capital is really important. So I just wanted to say, like, when you're, and the other thing is too, is that when you're going to the A lenders, once you get to 4 or 5 mortgages, you're going to start hitting a wall, and it's going to be even harder to get there. So if you really want to scale, that private money really helps us in our business to drive a business, essentially. So when you're ready to turn this into a business, you really need access to that private capital.
Yeah. No, you make a great point, Danielle. I can remember before banks would actually take digital copies of things. Like, I think they actually offered to scan all my leases because I'm like, guys, like this is gonna take all day. It was like 400 pages, and they hated me. But you made a good point there, just about there is pain in the market. There's opportunity in the market. I was just looking at a flip property with one of our students, and they just gave like great neighborhood. They just dropped it by 100K, and it's a bank sale. So I'm like, I think this is like a no-brainer now. Like this is going to be a really great entry point, and to be able to close quickly on it, they might need to do private capital. So I underestimated how much to talk about on a slide with 3 points. So sorry about that. But yeah, how about structuring deals to attract lenders? So you need to understand what's important to a lender. Okay, so when you're in the borrower's seat, you need to know, if this is like going to be a bit of a, I don't want to call it a battle, but if you're trying to win this, situation over, you have to really understand both sides, right? So you have to understand what's important to them. They're going to be looking at your experience. They're going to be looking to see if you have some skin in the game. Okay. Where people have gone wrong before in the past, everybody is like they tried to get, loans for the regular loan to value of that 75, 80%. And then they're trying to get loans for the other portion. And they're trying to be like 100%, funded, which there's no skin in the game at that point, right? What happens if the market does take a dip? It's not great for the lenders at all, and they want to have security. So they want to make sure that you have a strong plan. Like, what is your plan? Like, what's the loan to value going to look like? What is your after repair value looking like? And the biggest lenders out there, we had a call with the higher ups at Calvert Mortgages, and these guys fund a lot of flips every year. They've actually got their own underwriters on staff. They got a bunch of them, and they're literally accurate within a couple percentage points of like what the actual investor thinks the ARV is going to be of that property once it's done, right? So trust me, guys, when you're dealing with like an experienced lending company, you can't pull anything over their eyes. They know the numbers, they have the data, and if they don't have it, they have the teams and the power team members that can go get them that data. So,
And I,
what is the
and I
exit
just want to
strategy?
say, I just want to say here too, Corey, like it's really important that you know your numbers, guys, because if you go to a private lender and you're fudging, and this, we do see this where people like fudge the numbers. Like I had a deal come to me where all of the units in the property were one bedrooms. And so they were pulling data for one bedroom, an average of one bedroom units in that area or in that market. But then when I looked at the unit sizes were micro units. So they were like 400, I think under 400 square foot, one bedroom apartments, where the average one bedroom apartment was 650 square feet. And so with that smaller unit size, plus there was no parking, there was no in-suite laundry, where the average units in those areas would have that. Um, I'm like, no, you can't look at those units to pull this much rent. And so now I have just lost faith and trust in that potential borrower, because now I know that he's either intentionally trying to fool me with the numbers and fudge the numbers so they look better than they are, or he just doesn't know. And either way, it doesn't look good on him. And so you really got to know your numbers. I like to be conservative with the numbers. And like when I'm pitching to a lender, and I can put a range there and say, this is what we think we can get. Right. And so we average that out, and this is what it is. And then he goes, wow, okay. She's being fully transparent. She's, done her homework. And that looks really good as a borrower. Right. And so it's really important to know those numbers, because the lenders will verify what you're submitting. Okay. And they should. If they're not verifying what they're submitting, they're just not an experienced lender. And that poses other risks as a borrower.
Couldn't agree more, for sure. And that exit strategy, it's all about the exit strategy. The lender's going to want to know, and not just like what happens if the exit strategy, like what's your plan? Like that was your plan A, but what's your plan B going to be? Right. So you got to be able to have this all mapped out. And lots of times there could even be a plan C. Okay. So, for example, if you're doing a flip and the flip doesn't work out, is it going to work as a rental? And if it's not going to work out as a rental, could it work out as a Airbnb or a rent to own or something else, right? Like that property is the prize, and there better be multiple different exit strategies when it comes to, if things aren't ready for a sale once you're done that flip per se, right? So they're also going to want to be talking about repayment plan. How's that going to be structured? There's so many different ways that can be structured, and that's the great thing about lending and drafting up agreements. That can also be the challenge, that there's so many different levers and things that you can adjust and make custom, but you need to know what typically works for them, your ability to repay, and then contingencies and all sorts of other things that can come up too. So the borrowers, if you're in the borrower seat, you obviously want probably to have things a little bit swayed in your favor. And if you're a lender, you want to have things a little bit swayed in your favor. But when you work with each other, you got to realize what hat are you wearing, and that you're always doing a fair win-win deal that's going to work out. Because I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to just work with a lender one time. I want to work with a lender multiple times. So you got to make sure that the deal is fair and things work for everybody, right? And same from a lender. If the lender's number one objective is to keep their money working for them, right? So if they're doing deals that aren't fair and the interest rates are too high and the fees and the you name it are just gouging people, like, that person's never going to recommend them, never going to use them again. So it works on both sides for sure.
So when we were putting this slide together, if you can go back, Corey, when we were putting the slide together, it was really difficult we always like to put things in order of priority, what's most important on top, and kind of go down. And looking at the slide, guys, there's like nothing here that is more important than another for a lender's perspective. Like, they want skin in the game because they want to know you've got something to lose. So this, no money down, 100% in, and lenders have now seen how other lenders have lost money because of that. It is more prevalent than other. And experience, they look at the experience now because there's a lot of people out on the market that has experience. So they want to know that you have experience or you have the support behind you to get out of a pickle. The repayment plan, the ability to repay, contingencies, a backup plan to your exit strategy, to your primary exit strategy. Those things are critical, guys. Like, if you don't have these answers to give them when they ask you, like, what is your contingency plan? What is your exit strategy? And they're going to look at that and see whether or not it makes sense. So they're going to like dissect all of this. And if there's any holes or any cracks, and by the way, if you're not being transparent, and you're trying to fudge them, they're going to know. And so they're obviously going to say no if they don't feel comfortable at all. So you really need, all of these are so, so important. Now, the one thing I do want to say here on experience, don't freak out if you don't have experience and think you're not going to be able to raise the money. Okay. Because we do have a plan for that. And I'm going to tell you, write this down. If you're new and you want to get into this and you don't have the experience, what you do is you look at your inner circle for your private lenders. So you're not going to go to people that maybe you don't know yet and kind of go out into the bigger pool of investors. You're going to lean into the people that you do know, that are going to have faith in you, that are going to support you. It's going to be your parents. It's going to be maybe an uncle. It's going to be maybe a sister or brother you're going to team up with, and you're going to get the capital that way. So there are ways to get capital when you don't have the experience to build that experience. So, but the biggest thing is here, guys, everything on this slide is equally important to a lender.
Yes, and you know what? Sometimes when they're also that you don't have that experience, maybe you actually team up with somebody that does have experience. So there's always a workaround. And but again, you got to be transparent. You got to have a good plan. You got to have great presentation. You got to find great deals too. Like raising capital is all about a skill set. Finding great deals is a skill set. People think that real estate investing may not be skill based, that you can just go in with money and know how to work a spreadsheet. But no, there's definitely skills that you need to hone up to do great in this world. Even communication skills, negotiation skills. There's so much to cover for sure. Um, All right, what else do we have here? For you guys to be able to transfer that credibility over to the lender, you definitely want to make sure you have a credibility packet. Okay. And these are some of the points here. If you want to screenshot something tonight, you might want to screenshot this here. But when a lender is going to lend to you, what do they care about? These are more things that you want to be able to transfer that confidence over to them. So what is your relevant experience? And then what is the sub market? Like, what's the specific area that you are buying in? Okay. You could just say, I'm buying in this city. That doesn't really tell them too much, right? I live in a smaller city, and there's definitely parts. I mean, you can throw something in the chat there, Dennis. There's definitely parts of Sarnia that you do not want to invest in. There's A, B, and C areas for sure, maybe even D areas, right? So you want to make sure that they understand the submarket and why you're investing in there, but that's wherever your subject property might be. Any relevant credentials that you have, if you're a certified electrician, they need to know that, right? So that they understand that, okay, he or she is used to working in the trades, managing trades, and just working on projects all the time. So what have you done in the past? Or lots of times past performance indicates future results. Are you educating yourself? Do you have memberships that are going to help you, to stay top of class? And then what about your network, right? How much of a network do you have if there are any issues or concerns that you can actually go pull from? So this is really like your resume to the lender, and you got to make it count. So whether it's like a credibility package or a pitch deck or whatever it may be, this is so important. They're investing in you, the project, the asset class in general, real estate. We all love real estate here. You got to make sure your lender is loving the kind of real estate that you're doing in the market that you're doing it in, and the experience that you have. So, Danielle.
I want to know, like, put it in the chat. Has anybody ever heard of a credibility packet? Like, have you ever heard of this or done this? Basically, what it is in a nutshell, guys, is just an information packet. It's like a brochure on yourself so that they can get some history and some background on you. Now, over time, like when I started investing back when I started getting educated and being taught this stuff, that was back in 2013. And everything back then was on paper. And so we actually, like when I was meeting with a private money lender, I was bringing this like folder type thing, and it was all nice and bound, and it was pretty and colorful, and I sent it. Part of our credibility packet now is social media. So we call it like social media currency, right? That's where that is going to buy your way into certain doors, going to open doors for you. And so you want to share the things that you're doing online. And at the time, I didn't know it, but when I first started flipping, and I was focused just on flipping, and then I started thinking, okay, you know what? Let's have some fun. Let's use Facebook. And what happened was, I mean, it really just exploded my business because I'll tell you what, if you're active and you're busy doing something and in your hands on, that really gives a sense of comfort to the lender. So my lenders know that I walk through my properties. I'm getting my hands dirty. I'm dealing with the contractors. I am very hands on. And they see that because when I am in real estate and I'm doing a project, I'm posting it and I'm talking about it on social media, and I'm getting people involved in it too. Like I might walk through a property and say, look, guys, I need some design ideas. Like that's just for content. But it's a way to get the credibility out there. As much as I know a lot of you guys are uncomfortable with social media, I'm going to tell you right now, get over it. Okay. You need to do that. It is where people go now to check out who you are and what you've done. And don't worry about bombing it today when you're starting. It's okay because you're going to build more and more and more content. People aren't going to go back that far. I mean, I don't know how many, I got a lot of posts on my social media, and like people aren't going to go that far back. Right. And what's important is that they just see what you're doing today and that you're involved and you're active and you know what you're doing. So that is part of your credibility packet now, guys. It's digital. It's digital. You share with them what you're doing. And then when you're busy and you're active and you're getting out there, and by the way, Dennis, I posted a question in the chat here saying to all the borrowers that's here on the call, what's been a challenge that you're facing recently when you're raising capital? And Dennis said, it's finding people with the money. Well, you got to get out there. Like the money, you don't want to go find the money. You want to put yourself in a position to attract the money. And so when you're putting yourself out there, you're sharing what you're doing, even when you're just vetting properties. Hey, you know what? Do a post and say, hey, look, I vetted 4 properties today and none of them seem to look good. I might have to change the market. I might have to change the strategy. Or maybe I need to change, where I'm finding and sourcing these leads from, and then just post about stuff like that. Let people know what you're doing and the money will come to you. Okay. But the credibility packet is in fact to do that. It's to say, here I am. And then the money will get attracted to you based on what you have in that packet.
Yeah, but people won't lend to you if they don't know what you're up to, right? They can't flow you. What does Cardone say? They can't flow you if they don't know you. Right? You got to be able to, if someone goes to your social media and they've seen that you haven't posted anything in the last 6 months, like, I don't know if he's still doing real estate investing. Well, okay, I'll just keep kind of scrolling and see what other people that are more active are doing, right? So you got to be consistent. You got to be posting something multiple times a month about what you're doing and be top of mind, right? So people might not like and they might not comment, but trust me, they are definitely watching and they'll come up to you at the grocery store or wherever they might see you and say, hey, that stuff you're doing with real estate, that's awesome, right? I know it sounds like you're really investing in yourself, you're learning, you're attending these webinars and doing different things. So even when you're on something like this, take a screenshot, share it, do a post afterwards and just say, like, this is what I learned by attending tonight, right? So many people aren't doing what you're doing. It's literally a fraction of Canada. So but we got to speed this up a little bit here, talking about from the borrower's perspective. So, and then be prepared ahead of time with all of your documentation. Okay. So, appraisals of the property, your net worth statement. If you have other properties in your portfolio, that obviously is part of your net worth. You want to be able to show that scope of work for the project. This is for a project that would need obviously heavy construction, but quotes for the project, and then just any supporting documentation for the ARV or the after repair value of that property. So if you're buying a property for $400,000, you're putting $100,000 into it, and you feel like it's going to be worth 600 or 650 or 700 or whatever it might be, you need to be able to show the supporting comps, comparable properties that'll actually help to get you to those numbers on a sale or refinance. So again, they want that exit strategy. They want to know how and when they're going to be getting their money back. Okay. Anything to add on the borrower's perspective here,
Yeah,
Danielle?
yeah. You know what? I think the biggest. So when you're doing a private money, this is called a private money lender packet, guys. This is something we talk about in our masterclass and we dive deep on, because this is what you're going to do to pitch. This is what you're going to do to share with the lender your deal. And it's really important that you have all of the information in there. When you show up, imagine this, guys. Picture and imagine this. You show up in front of a lender and you have all of the information that's going to answer all their questions before they've even asked them. Does that make you look professional? Does it make you look knowledgeable? Does it make you look like you're willing to do the work? Like, do you know how many people have pitched me a deal and they just give me, okay, well, here's the numbers. And they basically say, this is the purchase price. This is how much it's going to cost to renovate. This is the ARV. This is going to be our, profit. And we're going to split it this way. Like, okay, like I need more than that to even say I'm interested. And so it's really important that you put in the work. If you're serious about raising money, guys, you got to do the work. Okay. And when you do the work and you show up in front of a lender and you say, this is the information that I have, on the deal, and then they look at it and you have all of the stuff. Like if you have the scope of work and then you have the quotes to support your numbers for the scope, if you have the pictures to back that up, they want to see pictures of the property as well. There's so much more here. We're just giving you kind of scratching the surface. But I'm telling you, if you have a solid private money lender packet, an offering, a pitch to them that has all the information that they need before, that answers all the questions before they've even answered it, there's no problem raising money. I'm telling you right now. And if the numbers don't look good for that lender, they're going to be like, you know what? This isn't the right deal for me, but come back when you have another one. And then because they know you're doing the work, and they might even, because they see your work ethic and they see that you're invested and that you're doing things right, they might even say, I would change this a little bit, or maybe these numbers don't work. Like you might want to, fine tune these numbers over here. And they're going to help you a little bit because they want to work with you. And so it's really important to understand what the borrowers want, but this is all the information that you need to gather in order to be there in front of the lender and give them what they need. Corey?
So true. And it might not be the right deal for them, might not just be like the right time for them, right? They just might be a little bit more tied up than a little more leveraged than they want to be. And they just got to call some money back before they can actually go fund your deal. All right. So, all right. So let's flip the switch here, flip the script a little bit. And, we won't spend as much time on the lender's perspective, but to be a strong borrower, you also have to look at the lender's perspective too. I know we touched on some of these points earlier, and guys, make sure you're sticking around right till the very end. We got some bonuses and some freebies and giveaways for people, and we can't give them to you unless you're actually here more towards the end to get the links and the QR codes for you to scan. So, but they are big on risk. Okay, that's a borrower's main number one objective is how can I reduce risk so that my investment is safe, right? Because they want their investments to grow. So you have to understand how lenders are going to evaluate deals. They're going to be looking at not just one thing, they're going to be looking at a whole bunch of reference points. So they're going to be looking at the property. So what is the current physical condition of the property, right? And that's okay. Some people still lend on really rough properties. They'll lend on properties that have mold. They'll lend on properties that, have been gutted and they don't have any, they're really not livable. It's just a shell, right? For me, I'd rather have that because that's actually just easier to put together. I don't know about you there, Danielle, but they've done a bunch of the work for you when it's gutted. Tell me about the area. They want to know about the area, and it's not just about, okay, so you're investing in whatever Hamilton, but what part of Hamilton? I want to know what side of this road you're on because they know the boundaries, right? If they lend in that area, they're going to know that city like the back of their hand too. Many lenders will only lend, I shouldn't say it, lots of lenders will actually want a niche in certain cities and they really get to know the city. What's the plan for the project? Show me the numbers, guys. The numbers don't lie. And if the numbers just don't work, for some of their risk tolerance, it's not going to work out. What is, and again, your past experience, your knowledge, do you have skin in the game? Do you have the ability to pivot, right? So what's the plan B? What's the plan C? So very important. And be prepared for your lender to want to get appraisals, to want to, there's going to be legal costs. There's going to be, different types of underwriting costs as well. So it is important here, gang, to understand the lender's perspective. They're also going to want to have security and collateral. So what do lenders want to see? They want to be secured on title, usually. Okay. Now there's promissory notes and there's registered mortgages. We're not going to get into that too much today, but for the most part, they're going to want to register this mortgage on title. And that's the collateral, right? Being on title is very important because it actually shows that they have that interest and that stake in the property. It's their collateral. And, let's say if there's not enough skin in the game, sometimes lenders will want to do what's called cross collateralization, and that's when they're actually going to go and cloud some titles of other properties that you own because they actually want more security. Okay, so they'll actually go take that loan and they're going to go register it on a couple other properties, maybe just one property, but because they're like, look, what if something goes sideways and they end up holding this longer, the project takes way longer, or it ends up being like one of those things where we can't sell the flip and we're upside down, then I'm going to want to get an extra $50,000 or $100,000 worth of security on another property. Do you have any other properties I can register on? So be very mindful of that. It's always better from a borrower's perspective if you can just only deal with that loan on that property. But you never know. I've seen all kinds of things in the lending world here.
And if they
Danielle, any
see that you
comments?
have, if they see that you have a lot of properties, but they're all at a really high loan to value and you can't use the collateral or the equity on other properties as collateral for them, that's going to be a red flag for them. If you have 6 properties in your portfolio and 4 of them are under construction, they know you're high risk at this point and they're going to start questioning what you're doing. And so they do want some sense of security. Again, they want skin in the game, so they want to know you're invested, and they also want to know that you have a way to pay them back. And so if you're showing them that you have a lot of projects, and truthfully, guys, people that had a lot of projects are the people that sank in 23 and 24, right? People that were over leveraged. That is the common denominator. And lenders are looking for that, and they're going to dig deep on that. So we want to make sure that we're safe too as borrowers. We don't want to over leverage because we want to be able to survive a storm. Okay. So sometimes it's slow and steady. It's not what people really want. They want, 10 properties yesterday. And I get that. But slow and steady will get you there, guys. And you need to show your lenders that you're willing to do that. So they just want to know that you're going to have the ability to repay them back if something goes sideways.
Yeah, we're getting some questions in the chat here. Does every lender credit check you? And if it's traditional lending, yes, 100%. If it's private, not as much because they'll probably want to know what your credit score is, and if it's a little bit lower than normal, they'll and you have a good reason for it, they'll probably still work with you. But it's usually asset first. Okay, they're going to be loaning on that asset, and if you're not turning things around or turning it over, they'll just take back control of the title of the asset. So, but they don't want to do that. They just want to keep their money moving. So it's really important to just do right by the lenders and also borrowers as well. So what else here? We have to also obviously talk about loan terms and what's typical out there in the industry. So it's definitely going to vary with your experience and how much you're asking for and what the loan to value is on the property. Like if you just want like a 50% loan to value, the rates are probably gonna be lower. If you're gonna want to go all the way up to like 80, 85%, the rates are gonna be higher for sure. It's the strength of the borrower as well, and the speed of the funding. How quickly do you need it? Because if you need it like next week, and you weren't proactive, you weren't getting ahead of it, or if it's a very fast closing, there's not going to be as many lenders in the lending pool to lend to you, and they don't like to work like ridiculously fast. They understand that they have to fund fast sometimes, but if you need the money within a few days, then you might end up paying some extra, just rush fees, I guess is what they would call them. So, but there's a lot in the mix here when it comes to where are the rates and fees and how you're going to structure the loan. Okay.
How you structure the loan is very important to the lender. Okay. And then having a really strong contract as well. So you want to make sure that the loan terms are very clear. You have a clear exit, there's a date, and the plan aligns with what you're doing in the loan terms. Okay, guys? It just has to make sense.
Yeah, they're going to have a due diligence process. Every lender is going to have a bit of a different process. And we've talked about this a little bit already, but there's going to be appraisals and they're going to want to know like show me how this is going to be a profitable venture for both of us, okay? And what's the exit strategy for sure. All right. Well, we've covered a lot here, guys. But let's spend a little bit of time on the takeaways here. And, it's definitely a skill. So when you're raising capital, it's definitely a skill. It's a very deep topic, and different money has different purposes and different time frames out there. Okay, there's different lenders if you're doing a flip. There's different lenders if you're doing flip like work on a multifamily property. Let's say if you have a multifamily property, we saw one up in Sudbury. I think it was a 9-unit building. It was all gutted and hadn't been lived in, right? So there's going to be a very niche lender that would lend on something like that. If you're buying land, there's only certain people that will actually lend on land that's not developed. If the services aren't in, you're going to be very lucky to get a lender. Okay, even when the services are in, they only lend up to a certain loan to value on you. Okay, so just remember that it's really like a key that goes into a lock. It's got to fit properly and turn for all kinds of different opportunities out there. So borrowers have unique needs, and lenders have unique requests as well. So always work towards that win-win, because you want to keep working with each other. Okay, I've worked with some of the same lenders for years and years and multiple different projects over time, and it really is, if you're thinking relationship based instead of transactionally, I mean, there's a lot of money out there, but if you don't have to keep going and building all those relationships from scratch, why not just keep working with some of the same lenders and borrowers, vice versa, over time, so you don't have to keep doing all that extra work, right? Keep them happy, keep their money working for them. And trust me, they'll be asking you, do you have another project for when this project is done? And that'll keep you motivated to keep growing your portfolio and go find that next project. So, but it is a very deep topic here to master. We've just scratched the surface. I feel like it's very tough to do this when we've got a 2-day workshop on this, and we're really trying to just condense a couple small topics and spend 30 minutes on them. It is a challenge, guys. It's like trying to do a TED talk sometimes. So we appreciate your grace here for sure. So go
Yeah,
back
so
one extra
we
slide. So there you go,
so
JD.
we
Hold it there for a sec.
so we do have Dennis asked a question here, if we have an example pitch deck to share. That's this like that stuff. We're covering a lot of that in the masterclass. There's going to be a ton of resources. Right tonight, we don't have a pitch deck that we're sharing with you, but we do have a resource that we're going to be sharing with you. Actually, two. So we did one, and then we're like, well, I think they could use this one too. So there's a bonus one as well. We're going to tell you a little bit more about that. You just stay on the call. We're going to share a little QR code for you guys. You can scan it and then get some great resources. And it's FAQs, things that you need to know, guys. And it's really important. But I just wanted to say, it's the biggest takeaway that you guys need to understand from tonight is that when you're dealing with a lender or a borrower, doesn't matter what side of the table you're on, you need to come together and you need each other in order to grow your respective businesses. And I think once you start realizing that and you start respecting the other side and you really understand their perspective, and then you're able to communicate with them in their language and share with them what they need in order to get comfortable with the deal, then you can make that deal work. And you can come together better. Okay. And so it's just really important to understand both sides of the coin, because in that way it's way easier to put the deal together. Okay. It's way easier to provide to the other person what they have. And that's why in the masterclass, we're going to talk about these are the documents that people want when they're doing their due diligence from you as a borrower. And this is why. And if you understand the why behind it, then it's way easier to be able to provide that. So I think that's like the biggest takeaway from tonight. And the fact that there's a lot of money out there. You just need to know how to put it together. You just need to know and learn how to attract that capital rather than to chase it. And so that's really what we're going to be diving deep on the masterclass. And I think Corey's going to tell us a little bit more about it here.
Definitely. And, lenders need borrowers and borrowers need lenders. And Danielle, you had a great saying the other day on a call with our students just on Monday. But the smart money is the private money. It is actually out there in some of the best investments right now, no matter what the market is doing, because they're very smart. They're doing this every single day, and they know what they know where it should be invested with the lowest risk investments, right? So that's what we want to open up and take people behind the curtain on. So any ahas here? People want to throw something in the chat. I know there's some questions going in the chat here. We're going to do some Q&A in a few minutes, but maybe throw in some takeaways. What did you learn just by listening to us here over the past 45 minutes? What actions are you going to take in 2025? Investing in real estate is all about taking action. You can sit here and learn till the cows come home and just be a consumer of tons of information. There's so many billions of hours worth of information on the internet and on YouTube and on social media and all these different platforms. But at the end of the day, the person that takes imperfect action will move forward way faster than someone who's trying to take perfect inaction, right? So I've seen people that are just average in a lot of areas of life, but they take a lot of action. They figure it out along the way, and they've done very, very well in business and in real estate investing and you name it, because they're actually taking action and they're adapting as they go, just like a spaceship in space, right? So, but what is the goal for that you want to raise? Don't be shy. We'd love to see what people want to raise or need to raise in 2025 to make that next check off that next SMART goal that they have for that next property. But we're curious, guys. Don't be afraid to aim big. But other than that, let's wait a second here for some things to go into the chat here.
Well, there's some questions here, Corey. We'll hit them up when we get to the Q&A section.
For sure.
There's some great questions in the chat. Yep.
Definitely. And like you mentioned there, Danielle, we've got freebies for everybody here. We're going to have 20 frequently asked questions for the new and intermediate investor, just to help you understand the key points of what we talked about tonight and more bonuses here. So just hang tight, guys. But we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about what we have coming up. So we always like to offer our events and our master classes. We call them master classes because really you're going there to master a topic. You're going to be walking out the door saying, wow, I really have the playbook for this niche topic here. We're not going to try to train you on 5 different things in a weekend. We're going to train you on one thing. And on the Friday night, actually, we have a very special master class, and it's going to be actually how to hire like a pro. So we've had so many people struggling to make progress here. It's because they're trying to do everything themselves, right? Whether you're full-time or part-time as a real estate investor, if you go and track all the hours that you put in as a real estate investor, there's so many hours that you do that could be totally outsourced to somebody else, okay? Whether it's just scraping the internet, assessing the deals, running them the first time through the calculator for you, doing some of your marketing for you, posting on social media for you, answering some of your DMs for you, coming up with ideas, using Chat GPT to come up with scripts and different things. Let's say if you want to send out, you have some people on your mailing list that are interested in investing, potentially becoming a real estate investor. You need to have some things to send them an email, right? You could have somebody on your team doing that sort of work for you. All right. But anyways, lots of times trying to double what you're doing is a lot more difficult than actually 5 or 10xing what you're doing, because you can just work a little bit harder and double what you're doing and burn the midnight oil and burn the candle on both ends. But when you actually get the help that you need, that really is when you start to unlock and be able to grow. And it's not easy because most people have never hired before. I've been hiring since I was in my early 20s because that was a career that I had. It was all based around hiring staff and learning how to run a business at a young age. And I'm so blessed for it. So to me, this is not a doesn't come as foreign to me as other people. But in 2025, if you don't have somebody that can work for you cost effectively, you're missing out. And there's some fantastic people. There's actually some fantastic people behind us right now. We have a team that is helping us with this webinar, and we're going to teach you guys how to do the same thing. So whether it's in person or virtual, on February 28th, we have Hiring Like a Pro. So hiring made easy. It's going to be in Oakville. We have a great speaker, as well as Danielle and I. We've hired over a couple dozen VAs here, and we have a real bulletproof process to share with you so that you can do this too. And we've heard horror stories of people that hire from different countries around the world, and then it's like crickets, and people like they work for a month and then they're gone. We have a process that will eliminate all the hardship and all the pain points in that, right? So Danielle, anything to comment here? Because I feel like I've been talking a lot, just really fast. So
You have been actually, I will say that you've been talking a lot faster than you normally do tonight. And I'm not like, I'm like, oh, what's going on with Corey tonight? Maybe he's like super rested. Maybe
trying
he's
to
just super
cram it
excited
in.
about talking about, well, yeah, super excited about talking about capital. But yeah, with the hiring guys, there is a process. Again, it's just about being proactive instead of reactive. And if you take the time to really vet and filter those 200 applicants down to your top two, rather than just kind of half-assing it. Yes, I said that, half-assing it. You're going to be able to get a really solid, strong team. And I know this because I have that. Corey and I have a really strong team behind us. You guys don't see them, but they do a great job of making us look good. And really, like, we have a vision and they help bring it to light for us. And they're always there behind us, 100% supporting us all the way. So yeah, I'm not going to say too much here, Corey, because you've covered a lot. What I do want to say is this is free for anybody who is actually coming to the masterclass. But if you don't want to join the masterclass on private lending or raising capital, and you just want to learn this, you can buy this separately. And again, what Corey said is doesn't matter where you are in the world, you can stream, you can join us live on stream just like this. It's going to be presented just the way it is now. And even our masterclass. So Corey, do you want to tell them about the masterclass? And we do have an offer for you guys, by the way, on this. So hang tight.
100%, guys. We always like to reward people that make it through Fight Club here right to the very end. And you guys have you've invested your time tonight, so we want to take care of you here. But if you want to take your portfolio to the next level and not have capital be your limiting factor, frankly, I'd rather have more money than I know what to deal with, because I know that I can always go find deals. Okay, they come across my desk every single day, every single week, and but you got to make sure that you are taking advantage of the market right now. Okay, you guys want to make sure you have the answers to take care of it, and usually the answer is capital. So so many people that we talk to, we're in touch with all the active players in real estate here all across not just Ontario but across the country, and they're all saying like, look, this is probably going to be the lowest that you ever buy real estate for a very long time, if maybe in our lifetime here. So it's our All About Capital Masterclass on March 1st and 2nd. We have a special discount for you guys. We also have virtual options here too, but it's great in person if you can make it in person. Our offer to everybody is, drum roll please. I'm not going to actually break out a drum here, guys, but we're going to give you a 25% discount. This is not available anywhere right now. We did have some early bird specials going on, but for people that take the time to find out and spend an hour with us on a webinar, we're going to offer you that as well. Okay, so that's the infographic here. And what you can do is go, I know it's going to be tough if you're watching this on a phone, but maybe take a screenshot of this, and then somebody else can actually like scan the QR code on their phone, or maybe we can throw the link in the chat. But you want to use the code webinar 25. Okay, So use code webinar25 to get that 25% discount off. We can't keep this discount open forever, gang. So we're going to keep it open up until I think the weekend. So go take action. We like to reward action takers. And, it also helps us because we just, we get so many people that sign up like within 2 days of the event, and it's stressful because we're like, what's going on? But, we'd always love it if people could just be proactive, look at your calendar, block it off, make it happen, learn how to raise capital. I've taken capital raising master classes before, and Danielle's got so much experience in the space here too. We just want to pour into you guys and show you how money doesn't have to be a limiting factor when you're growing your portfolio. Frankly, it's going to be like systems and how do I scale faster and grow even better once I've got the deals and the money in place. All right. So that is our discount to everybody here too. Oh, I'm seeing it being dropped in the chat. So thanks for dropping that in the chat. Yes, Dennis, we'll see you there. I know there's some people here that just came for a little sneak peek tonight and they're already got their tickets, which is amazing. So thank you guys so much. And what else do we got here? So free resources. Okay. So we do have some things for everybody here tonight. Like we talked about those FAQ points. Scan this QR code so you can get access to those. And bonus, we also have a tracking spreadsheet for you as well. So just, like any great sales professional, anybody that's doing well in their profession, and you're always going to be, you need to track and manage the result that you're looking for. So we have an intentionally put together spreadsheet for you. It's got 4 different categories in there of different potential lenders that you really should be farming and making a note of. Okay, you can't keep them all up in your head. You need to put them down somewhere and you need to categorize them. Okay, so you're going to have I'm not going to describe it too much, but you're going to see the different tabs in the spreadsheet and how to keep track of it. But it's magical what ends up happening when you start keeping score and when you start tracking the interested people that are astute with their money. They've maybe had an exit. They don't drive their money. They don't, spend all their money on vacation. They don't wear their money with crazy fancy clothes. They're just average people that are hardworking and they save and they've grown their money and they just don't know how to do this real estate thing and they'd rather do it with you. Okay. And then the first step is obviously identifying those people. And then by learning how to engage them and how to enroll them and how to take them through the process, we're going to take you through at the masterclass. Going to be very powerful. It's going to unlock hopefully hundreds of thousands of dollars for you guys. So I don't see anybody that comes in the masterclass that won't get 100x return on their investment, right? If you guys can't raise, tens of thousands of dollars, if not hundreds, then we haven't done our job. So we're going to give you guys all the tools and resources to be able to do that and the understanding too. So make sure you're following us on Instagram. Danielle, anything to comment here on our masterclass or the discount? I know we always fight over like how much should the discount be. Danielle only wanted to give 20. I'm just saying I want to give 25, but but we're looking forward to seeing a bunch of you there.
That just threw me under the bus. Listen, I'll tell you why. Okay, I'm going to justify it right here, right now, and I'm going to tell you why. Because the cost of this 2-day masterclass, where we dive deep, and we don't believe in charging people to come into our room and get pitched. It is content heavy. It's all content. And so to come in, guys, I don't even know truly what the cost is, but I think it's $300 for the 2 days. And we're giving you the hiring for free on top of that. And so it is already so friggin' cheap for what you're going to get. So it's not that I'm being cheap, guys, but I just know that the value of this, and because this is our first time running this masterclass, it is I'm going to tell you right now, it is the cheapest it's ever going to be, because as we continue to do this, that price will go up. So just want to put that out there. I don't want to like scare anybody, but I'm telling you right now, it's going to be amazing. People are saying thank you. We do have time for quick Q&A if anybody wants to. There are some questions that we promised we would ask. So I want to just scroll back. There was some questions here. Let me see if I can find them. So we're going to go to, David said, does every lender do credit check on you? Corey did answer that. Institutional lenders will, private lenders, it depends. And so, and somebody else had a question here, if I can find it. Do you typically find private lenders free flips? Do you go through a mortgage broker? Do you reach out to lenders directly? So I'm going to tie this into the credit check one. So if we can put up on the screen, David DeCivos, there we go. Yeah. So what happens is with this, I personally have raised a lot of private money where I've done it direct with lenders. But I am a master networker. I'm in a lot of networking rooms. People are seeing what I'm doing. I'm on stage, I'm coaching and all of this. So like people, I do have lenders that come to me and say, do you have anything going on? I have money to lend. And so I do deal directly with private money lenders. However, in the beginning, it wasn't like that. I was connecting with them at tables as an attendee of these events. And so you can do that too. Now, when you're doing that, I highly advise you that you get a strong legal team to help you with looking at the term sheets and looking at the contracts. Now, I again am not scared to do the work, so I made sure I had the contracts all drafted up. You're still going to need legal, and you want to make sure all your T's are crossed and your I's are dotted. And if you've not done this before, your legal team is going to help you to make sure that you're mitigating risk. Okay, so just be very careful about that. Now, when you're dealing with a mortgage broker, which is how most people start with private lending, and I love mortgage brokers, there's a fee, like 1.5%, between 1% and 2%, okay? About a 1.5% of the transaction that they're gonna take for their fee. But they do a lot of this work for you where they're collecting this information, they're transacting, they're like, okay, we need this, we need that. They're gonna help you find an appraiser and coordinate that. They're going to help you with all of the things that you need to gather and help you stay organized and make the transaction a little bit more seamless for you. And especially if you're new, you want to have that help on your team. All right. Find a mortgage broker that is not transactional, that will help guide you through the process and educate you through the process, because they understand you're going to come back for more. And if they help you today and they share with you the process, what it looks like, what's important, and why they're doing what they're doing, then they know that you're going to be easier to work with in the future. And those are the people that you want, the ones that are guiding you and not the ones that are just pushing paper. Okay. And so the ones that are pushing paper are just not really doing the work. They're not there helping you. They're not they're not answering your questions in detail. And so I just would really be cautious about working with people like that. Corey, did you have something to add there to that question? Can we see the question again, guys? How do you typically, yeah, there we go.
Yeah, you can also get referrals as well. Lots of times these lenders do have excess capital, so it's not going to be like one of those things where you absolutely have to keep them so close to your chest that you can't share that information. You can get referred to them. If you have a strong enough brand, right? Like if you're literally giving so much value to your network, and then all of a sudden you have an ask once in a while, you got to be very mindful how you do this on social media. So maybe I shouldn't even go there. But if you just let people know, like, hey, this project that we're working on was actually funded with private capital. If you're interested in learning more about that, reach out, right? And then, or if you're, if that's what you do and you have funds to lend, let's have a conversation, right? But yeah, they're more abundant than you just got to do the work to actually just go find them. And sometimes people, you just got to turn into an old school detective. If you're talking to a mortgage broker and they don't have access to private capital, it's like, well, who do you know that might know somebody that I'm looking for, right? So they're definitely out there.
For sure. So we have referrals are great, by the way. Referrals are a great way. And get into some networking rooms. Like you need to be connecting with people in your industry in order for it to work. Like you need to find your tribe, guys. Okay. Let's see, what else do we have? How do you typically private? We did that one. Okay. Beyond our SOI, can you recommend some B lender companies that are out there? Honestly, the best person to be telling you what B lenders to go to is a mortgage broker. And mortgage brokers literally will have 50, 60 plus lenders on their list. So they'll have obviously the A lenders, they're going to have a list of B lenders, and there's a lot of B lenders out there. A lot of people don't realize it. Desjardins was one of my favorites. I did a lot of business with Desjardins. I also with Tandia, I had with Tandia. So like the credit unions are great B lenders. They're getting a little bit more harder to work with, but they're still really great to work with. But they'll also have a bunch of private lenders. So mortgage brokers really have a big book of lenders to tap into and to fish from for your deal. So that's where I would go if you really want a good solid list of B lenders. Corey?
Yeah, I mean, you have your credit unions. I love Desjardins as well. And, depending where you are, what province you're in, there's going to be different lenders out there for sure. And you got the sub A lenders, like you got First Nationals and things of the world. So just make sure that whatever lender you end up going with, that sometimes the terms are, well, not sometimes, the terms are definitely going to be different. So make sure you pay attention.
Yeah, the terms and also the fees, guys. So that's something we didn't talk about tonight. We talked about this really heavy in the master class, the money master class. It's really important when you're dealing with private money. Like you can get feed out, and it just doesn't make any sense anymore. And so you really want to pay attention to that, and especially with the B lenders, because B lenders do have a lot of hidden fees that you want to pay attention to, and look at, like, read the contracts, guys. Don't just sign blindly, okay? Once you've read a few of these contracts, then you can almost, like, I can skim a contract. I know where to find the information that I'm looking for. And but you got to read the contracts and understand what you're signing, because this is a big loan. Like, think about it, right? It's going to be hundreds, tens, or even hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? So you really want to make sure that you do the work, okay? And that's just going to make you a stronger borrower. It's going to make you a stronger lender, stronger investor when you understand the process. So let's see, we got one more here. How can a Canadian or an American potential borrower access private lenders to support funding for a property that's in a sought after area of the DR? So essentially, it's really hard to find investors that are lending in international properties, because right now, especially right now, we're in a really uncertain time. So people are not feeling secure about lending. And so they want that security. They want to be able to register a lien on a property here and know that they can, if there's a default, they have the asset to secure their capital. Okay. What I would suggest doing is, whoever the borrower is, they have to have some sort of asset here that they can put up for collateral. Corey talked about this earlier on the call. And essentially, you can cross collateralize different properties if you have equity in different properties. And that's something that they could put up as collateral in order to get the loan, and then take that money and invest it elsewhere. So just be very transparent, be on the up and up about what you're doing. Say, look, I want to borrow this money to put over here, but I will offer you this there in order to give you that asset. So that's really the way you can do it. Personally, I don't invest overseas or in the Caribbean, so I couldn't tell you. There are lenders in those areas that will do, and I know in the States, this is really big. So they do asset-based lending. They'll look at the property, underwrite the property, and a local bank or a local lender there will put a lien on that property and give you the money that you need in order to do the project. So, and depending whether or not it's an asset that's already built or it's an asset that you're building, it's going to look very different. It's very hard to get the loans that you need in order to build something when it doesn't exist yet. And I know a lot of that is happening right now in the DR and Mexico and other Caribbean places. So it can be quite challenging. So the best way for you to raise the money is to use equity that you have here. Corey?
Yeah, and don't be afraid to, like, maybe you just haven't turned over every single rock in the DR, because I know people that are buying in Mexico, Costa Rica. I'm not sure about Dominican, but there are banks down there that will lend to foreigners. They might be higher rates, but if it's an amazing deal, then hey, sometimes I tell people that they don't question the price of the shovel if you can dig gold all day long with it, right? So just make sure it's going to be a good enough deal, because when it's a great enough deal, you can actually have a little bit more expensive money on a project. But again, keep in mind that when you're raising capital and you're doing private money, lots of times this is a short-term solution. This shouldn't be a long-term solution unless you're getting lower interest rates and it's becoming more like a regular conventional mortgage, right? Like at that 5-6% kind of range. So be mindful.
All right, guys. Well, I see some of you guys are already got your tickets to the masterclass. We're gonna see you there. Hopefully, we're gonna
Woo!
see you in person. If not, we'll see you virtually. And don't forget, you get the hiring masterclass as well, or the hiring deep dive is what we're calling it. And that will help you. By the way, when you're hiring admin, bookkeeping, those are the top two first hires that people typically do. But now what we're seeing is help on social media. So social media posts And we've got Dennis here that says he needs to work on his social media posts. I'm going to tell you right now, I do have a lot of help with my social media, as does Corey. Although Corey is a little bit more hands-on, than I am with the social media. But honestly, it really is a game changer and a necessity for business. It's a new way of marketing, guys. It's your new credibility packet. So don't discount that. So those are the three kind of positions that you want to consider hiring first to get some help to start growing your business. And yeah, so we got people already registered, Corey. We're going to see them. I hope to see them in person, but if not, we'll definitely see you streaming, and excited about that. Any final thoughts, Corey?
I just wanted to really thank people for, spending the time with us tonight and investing in yourself. It's so critical, and we really do appreciate it. So we hold webinars like this on a regular basis, and this is just proof that we need to keep doing that, do more of them, and you guys are our biggest fans, so we really, really appreciate it.
Woo, woo. Okay, so for those of you who are not known to Strategic yet, we do this thing called like woot woot, and everybody like at first feels really weird, but I want you guys at home to give me a woot woot with me. So we're gonna end this on a woot woot. Okay, you ready? On three, woot woot. Here's to private money, guys. Woot woot. Building your portfolio. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. Thank you for trusting us. Thank you for joining us. And thank you always, always, always for participating. We love sharing and look forward to seeing you guys on the next masterclass. Bye now.
Take care, everybody.